the line. And look how they set up this play to go to the left. So they get everybody moving to the left, and then Rico just kind of sneaks out and gets open. The Cowboys run this play a lot. And here you can see it again. So watch, they bring Jeff Swaim in tight. So they tell Jacksonville they are going to run to the left. They fake the action to the left, and Jacksonville buys. Look at the over pursuit, and then there's Rico, and now he's got him. He's got the defensive end who's trying to go inside, got him way too far inside, and so Rico's got him. Easy pitch and catch, quarterback to tight end. And that is a play we see the Cowboys run a lot of, which is a good play call. It didn't work. I mean, they ran it one time with Jameis Olawale in the red zone later in the game. It didn't work as well. We've seen them run it with Jeff Swaim. You know, that's when you have a really good running back in a really effective running game, that's a play that's going to work a lot because teams are bailing out to stop Zeke Elliott. This is 3rd and 1 from midfield. The Cowboys line up like they are going to run the football. So they fake the handoff play action, and look, it works perfectly, and it's a perfectly thrown ball that Blake Jarwin is not able to catch. Again, here it is. This is, hey, we're going to run. It's a 3rd down situation. They're telling the defense they're going to run, and there's Blake Jarwin there at the end of the line next to Jeff Swaim on the right side. So they bail out. They're telling Jacksonville, we're going to run to the right side. So watch this. The defense and the linebackers collapse to stop Zeke, and then there's Jarwin, and he's, boom, right there. Wide open. Get him the ball. And he does. Dak with a really, really good throw. And it's just dropped. That is not a good play by the defensive back. That is a catch you have to make in the NFL. Okay, so this is a 3rd down situation, okay? Red zone. They're going hurry up here. Cowboys are in the no-huddle hurry up, as you can see by the way this thing is set up. And so what I think I love about what Dak does here is watch him move the defenders with his eyes. And it's just that 1 second. Now watch this. So you've got the linebackers. When they get out in coverage, there's Myles Jack, and then there's your defensive end, 97 underneath. I believe that's Calais Campbell. So watch Dak move them with his eyes. See there, he moved them to the right, and that 1 step where he gets Myles Jack and Calais Campbell moving, and now he knows Beasley's there for the touchdown pass, the touchdown catch. Again, watch this. There's Myles Jack at the top of your screen, and then there's Calais Campbell, and Dak looks over the right. He knows where Beasley is on the left side, but he looks over to the right for the 1 second, and then that is enough to get Myles Jack and Calais Campbell to commit, and then now he knows he's got nobody to help, and he's got Beasley wide open on the left side. Again, another really, really good job by Dak Prescott there. We've been complaining a lot about Dak Prescott, but here he is moving the defense. And here you can see, now that you know what we're looking at, you can see a much better angle of it. But watch those guys, they commit over right, and then the pass goes left. And you can see the whole defense shift right because Dak's eyes went that way. Now that was good play design, the Blake Jarwin miss. But that was just a good play by Dak Prescott, the quarterback. I'm Amari Temkin, and this is Showtime right here on Phantom, the new world order of sports media, delivering live sports and sports content to you. We at Phantom put you in the center of the Dallas sports discussion. So there's Rico on the right side, the end of the line. And look how they set up this play to go to the left. So they get everybody moving to the left, and then Rico just kind of sneaks out and gets open. The Cowboys run this play a lot. And here you can see it again. So watch, they bring Jeff Swaim in tight. So they tell Jacksonville they are going to run to the left. They fake the action to the left, and Jacksonville buys. Look at the over pursuit, and then there's Rico, and now he's got him. He's got the defensive end who's trying to go inside, got him way too far inside, and so Rico's got him, and it's a nice, easy pitch and catch, quarterback to tight end. And that is a play we see the Cowboys run a lot of, which is a good play call. It didn't work. I mean, they ran it one time with Jameis Olawale in the red zone later in the game. It didn't work as well. We've seen them run it with Jeff Swaim. You know, that's when you have a really good running back in a really effective running game, that's a play that's going to work a lot because teams are bailing out to stop Zeke Elliott. This is 3rd and 1 from midfield. The Cowboys line up like they are going to run the football. So they fake the handoff play action, and look, it works perfectly, and it's a perfectly thrown ball that Blake Jarwin is not able to catch. Again, here it is. This is, hey, we're going to run. It's a 3rd down situation. They're telling the defense they're going to run, and there's Blake Jarwin there at the end of the line next to Jeff Swaim on the right side. So they bail out. They're telling Jacksonville, we're going to run to the right side. So watch this. The defense and the linebackers collapse to stop. What's up, everybody? I am Amari Temkin, and this is Phantom. Part of the new world order of sports media, we are putting you at the center of the Dallas sports discussion. We've got a lot to get to today. Shout out to everybody watching across YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and of course Facebook. Shout out to our page partners on Facebook, including the Dallas Cowboys America's team, the Houston Cowboys, the America's Fans Silver and Blue Club, the Cowboys Report, the... Man, I'm trying to remember all of them. The Dallas Cowboys Really Real fan page. So shout out to all of you watching across all those different pages. A reminder, the quickest way to get in touch with me, the quickest way to interact with this show, since this is your show, it's on you to interact, since we are putting you at the center of the Dallas sports discussion. Quickest way to interact, to join the discussion, is on Facebook at facebook.com/watchphantom. I will, again, try to navigate through all these pages, platforms, and on and on and on. But the quickest way to get in touch is at facebook.com/watchphantom, which spelled right there. Just hitting the share button. Curtis Starks, Mike Wellman, Rigo Briones in the house. Patrick Prescott. Shout out to Patrick Prescott, who's tagged some friends of his. Hopefully they will join the show. Brian Walker in the house. Also, again, on Phantom. Hold on real quick. Just trying to share this to my page. And then we'll get rolling here. I also want to remind everybody that if you're in the DFW area, the Mavericks tip off the season tonight. I'm working actually on a little bit of a film study on why the Mavericks should have one of the elite offenses in the NBA this season. That'll be out a little bit later on. But join us over here at Parkway Tavern in Plano. We're going to be watching Mavericks Suns 9:30 tip tonight. It's going to be a fun night at Parkway Tavern. Click on the link in the description. You'll get a free appetizer when you dine in tonight during the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to see Luka Doncic's first game as a member of the Dallas Mavericks, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're in the area, come on over to Parkway Tavern in Plano and join us. All right, should the Cowboys make a trade? Curtis Harris in the house. What up, Curtis Harris? My cousin, Jordy Temkin. What's up, Jordy? How are you? Ray Pierce in the house. G. Garcia. Solar's watching. John Dyer. Ray Pierce. My mother-in-law. It's a family affair. Zach Rosenberg. Another one of my cousins is watching. Michael Lafferty is in the house. So shout out to everybody. All right, so I'm asking you your thoughts. Should the Cowboys make a trade? John and Meg, why in God's green earth would the Oakland Raiders want Allen Hurns? You can't just take useless pieces and like lump them all together and say, here's one quality piece. Like John and Meg suggests Hurns in a 5th rounder for Amari Cooper. I would love that deal. That's not going to happen. According to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, the Raiders are looking for a 1st-round draft pick. So a 5th and Allen Hurns does not equal a 1st-round draft pick. Now, a 1st-round draft pick is ridiculous, and there's no chance in hell I would be giving up a 1st-round draft pick for Amari Cooper. But certainly, again, you can't just accumulate a bunch of spare parts to equal one good part. So they're not going to take like an Allen Hurns, package, Jordan Lewis, like that. You're just not going to find that. I mean, for the most part, they're not going to trade players for players. If the Raiders are willing to trade Amari Cooper, it's because they want a 1st-round draft pick in exchange for it, a 2nd-round draft pick in exchange for him. Tremel Bardwell says, what's up, Ari? Tremel, how are you? Teddy Bear Sanders says, if Oakland didn't want a 1st-round pick for Cooper and they'd settle for a 2nd or 3rd, I would say go get him. I'm kind of with you there. Chris Heinsroth says, yes, go for Amari Cooper. All right, so that's what I'm asking everybody to post in the comments. Thumbs up if, they should trade for Amari Cooper. Give me the heart emoji if you think somebody else. If you've watched my streams on a daily basis, you'll know who I think that somebody else should be, and I'll get to that in a moment here. Or the laughing emoji is no. So should the Cowboys make a trade? Yes, Amari Cooper. Yes, somebody else. Or laughing emoji, no. Joe Lucia says, hi, Ari. I'm live on the show for once. Go Cowboys. Joe, good to see you, buddy. Neil Favre says, you can in Madden. Meaning you can trade a bunch of spare parts for one really good part in Madden. Steve Eason gives me the heart emoji. So does Joe Lucia. All right, so if you're doing the heart emojis, meaning yes, trade for somebody else, who is somebody else? Hit me up in the comments if you've got an idea of who else that would be. Kevin Rybinski says, what's up, brother? DC for life. Kevin, how are you, sir? Lori Morales in the house. Lori, how are you? Thumbs up. Lori Morales wants Amari Cooper. Curtis Harris says, not Amari Cooper. Ray Pierce says, somebody else. John Dyer says, why do people think Cooper is good? Because he is. John? Because he is. I mean, this is a guy that had 1,100 yards in his second year, only 680 in year 3, but that was in 14 games, and Derek Carr had a total regression, which he's obviously continued to regress. So, I mean, I still think Amari Cooper is a really good option, a good wide receiver. I know, there's a quote that's circling around today from Michael Lombardi, who is a former NFL GM, former scout. Now he does a lot with media, and Michael Lombardi said that he heard that he's not sure that Amari Cooper really wants to play football or really likes playing football. I'm not sure. Maybe Michael Lombardi has a good relationship with John Gruden, and that's, it's leaked out because of that. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure out who would say something. Like, if somebody from the Raiders would tell that to Michael Lombardi, that would hurt their ability to get a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, right? But obviously, if that's coming from Amari Cooper's camp, then it's just an odd thing to be said. So it's interesting that you'd hear that. I mean, maybe that's true. Look, if the Raiders want a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, then good luck. And there's a quote, which I want to share here in a moment, from Stephen Jones, which gives us a pretty good indication on whether or not the Cowboys would be interested in giving up a first or a second even for Amari Cooper. And I think the answer is probably no. But if you have not yet, make sure to hit the share button. It's right there if you're watching this on your mobile phone, bottom left corner, just real quick, press the share button, and then post it. And also, you can tag friends of yours. I say every day on the show, this is your show. It's an interactive show. It's the most interactive Cowboys show out there. And so I invite you to ask your questions, to discuss openly with me. That's what this is. That's what we're doing here. This is an open format. This is your show. And Phantom, we are putting you at the center of the Dallas sports discussion. So even though I'm talking into a camera and a microphone and a computer, the reality is I'm talking to you. And so it only works with you. So the Showtimers that are joining the show each and every day, I love you guys. You're the best. If this is your first time watching, hopefully you'll come back time and time again, like Neil Favre and Joe Tranchina and Cody Arnold and Curtis Harris and Curtis Starks and Brian Walker and Laura Morales and on and on and on. So hopefully you too will become a Showtimer and join the show each and every day and become interactive with the show, as a lot of these other folks have been. Joe Tranchina wants to know if there's any good safeties the Cowboys could trade for. There's rumors he's not a safety, he's a corner, Patrick Peterson. Look, I would say at this point, the only option that I would entertain if I'm the Cowboys at potentially making a trade for would be at wide receiver. It's obvious the Cowboys have holes to fill across their roster at different positions, but I think, like, when you survey the landscape of the NFL as far as guys that are available and what they could potentially be had for, wide receiver seems like the best option there. Dakota Stiegel in the house. Joe Lucia says, I watch every day, either live or replay. I love the show. Joe Lucia is part of a show. He's a Showtimer as well. John Martin says, Kirkpatrick from the Bengals. Why would the Bengals trade Drake Kirkpatrick? Steve Eason says, besides Cooper and Thomas, any other wide receivers coming to mind? Not really, no. Larry Fitzgerald? Are the Cardinals going to trade Larry Fitzgerald? Probably not. Sam Torres says, for better or worse, stuck with what we have and build through the draft. So that's the most likely approach for the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Because that's the approach they've constantly taken. Build through the draft. Don't take major risks in free agency by signing big contracts, whatever it is. That's what the Cowboys have done. And that's, like, are they likely to make a trade? No. I mean, I'd say they're probably like a 5% chance they'd make a trade at this point. But that doesn't mean we still shouldn't talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I think most likely this team, the way they've been built, the way Stephen Jones has built this team, they're not really going out and making splashes in free agency. It's even more of a risk to bring in a guy at the trade deadline because Again, football is about cohesiveness. It's about unity, about everybody being on the same page. So if you bring in a new guy who doesn't know the offense, he's not going to be on the same page. He hurts the offense as a whole, those kinds of things. So those are the reasons why I think there's a 95% chance they don't make a trade. But, I mean, again, you look at where they are at the receiving core, and the notion or idea that they had coming into this year that they didn't need a number one was wrong, clearly. And I know there were a lot of people, Brian Broaddus and many others, that said it was wrong coming into this season. And I think it's bearing itself out after 6 weeks. Now, last week was the best we've seen the receiving core play, but it's just not tenable for this team to be a playoff team if they think that they are. Michael Lentz says, you say a lot, champ. Got to work on that. Appreciate you, Michael. Real quickly, a lot, 2 words. A lot. Thanks for the suggestion. Teddy Bear Sanders, what do you think about Terrence Williams plus a 4th-round pick for Carl Joseph, the safety from Oakland, since they're shopping him for extra depth because we see what happens if one of our safeties goes out, we get exposed. There's probably no player on this team that's tradable. When you look at trading in the NFL, the majority of trades that happen are draft picks for players. It's rare that there's players for players, especially, I think, given where they are in the middle of the season. So I say perhaps because I'm trying to, gather my thoughts internally as I answer questions. But appreciate you, Michael Lentz. You're the man. Dan McCoy, should they? Yes. Will they? Probably not. Well said. Patrick Prescott says willing to give up a second for Earl. Would like to see Steven force one. Guys like Philly does. I'd say the opportunity for the Cowboys to add Earl Thomas is gone. 0% chance that's going to happen. If they do, it would be in free agency after the season. So I think, again, I'm asking you what you think. Should the Cowboys make a trade? Yes. Thumbs up for Amari Cooper. Yes. The heart emoji for somebody else, or laughing emoji for no. If there are any options for the Cowboys to make trades, it would probably be with the receiving corps. All right, checking out YouTube. Joe Lucas in the house says, what's up, Ari? I'm actually able to watch live today. Go Cowboys. Is Joe Lucas and Joe Lucia the same person? That's my question. My Cowboys family in the house says, what's up, Ari? I wouldn't pull the trade for Cooper. What do you think about trading for Mike Evans or Keenan Allen in the offseason if disgruntled? I'd love both of them. I'd be in on either of those guys. I don't think they'd be available. Perhaps they would, but I just don't think they'd be available. And I wouldn't trade a first-round pick for either of them. DC for LJLB says Earl Thomas isn't worth a bag of M&Ms this year, LOL. Yeah, true. I mean, I think the only, some people look at it and say, well, trade for him now, and then you get the first option to sign him this offseason. But, I mean, I wouldn't do that. And then, again, back to would I trade for Mike Evans or Keenan Allen? Yeah, but I'm not trading a first-round pick for those guys. Maybe Mike Evans. I'd trade a first-round pick for. Keenan Allen's injured too much, but I like Keenan Allen's game, don't get me wrong. James Azaro says, Gallup's proven to be a very good receiver, a perfect number 2. Trade Hearns. If you could trade an injured T, will do it. Cooper and Gallup on the outside. Beasley and Thompson in the middle, definitely make a trade, but not expecting it. You're not going to be able to trade Hearns. I think if you're able to make a trade for a receiver, you cut Hearns, which is probably what they would do. You're not trading Terrence Williams or Allen Hearns. Nobody wants those guys. So chances are they're going to end up cutting them. John Martin says we should have gotten Josh Gordon. Jerry loves problem children. Just look at those 90s teams. True, but I agree. But there was no chance they were going to sign Josh Gordon, especially after Stephen Jones came out and said there was no chance they were going to sign Josh Gordon. All right, let me check around to the different pages we are partnered with and broadcasting on. Let's see here. Jeff Davis says hello. Thomas Licon says hello. So to both Jeff and Thomas, hello. All right, let's see. Where else? How about the Cowboys report? The Dallas Cowboys report. And my apologies while I do this, but I think it's important for everybody's voice to be heard no matter which page you're watching on, and we're partnered up with these pages, so I think it's important to obviously go and get to the comments. On the Dallas Cowboys report, We've got a bunch of comments. Jose Salas in the house. Garth Kirkpatrick. Johnson Jr. in the house. Let's see here. Demario Goins says, get Vic as a backup. Michael Vick. Interesting. Michael Fernside says, what's up, guys? Jose Salas says, Cooper's 24. If he has love for football and wants to play for Dallas Cowboys, then he's a good 5 years. Probably. I wouldn't trade a first-round pick for him. And maybe not a second. Garth Kirkpatrick, I feel we're finally getting some continuity, and trading for someone could upset that. Well said, Garth. And that's probably why the Cowboys won't make a trade, because we just saw for the first time this season this offense have continuity and be on the same page and, you know, look like a competent offense. So I agree to a certain degree, right? Like, could you upset the ecosystem of this offense like the week after they had their first most complete game? And there's some truth to that. Let's see here. John Martin says, cut Allen Hurns. I agree with you there. And again, the quickest way to have your comments read and heard is on Phantom. Just go to facebook.com/watch Phantom and make sure to stream the show there. Coming up in a bit, I'll give you my initial scouting report on the Washington Redskins, the Cowboys' opponent. But first, want to get everybody's input and comments and thoughts and questions heard on if the Cowboys should make a trade. Post your comments. Yes, Amari Cooper. Thumbs up. Heart emoji for yes, somebody else. Or no with the laughing emoji if that's what you think is the case. On the America's Fans Silver and Blue Club page, Craig Krapcha says, so what do you think of trading a first round and Sean Lee for Cooper? I wouldn't trade just a first round pick for Amari Cooper. Nor do I think the Raiders, who seem to be rebuilding, looking for Sean Lee. So, again, just going to mention it again. You're not going to trade at this point a player for a player. You're going to trade a pick for a player if they're going to make a trade. Brian Hogan on the Phantom page says, should have found a solid outside receiver and brought Dez inside to slot like Arizona did with Larry Fitzgerald. Joe Lucia says, T.O. could separate at his current age better than anyone we have now, LOL. Maybe they should bring back T.O. Craig Kropka says, third rounder and Sean Lee? I don't think so. Again, like, I'm going to mention it again. No. You can throw a bunch of crap against, and Sean Lee's not crap. I shouldn't say that. He's not Allen Hurns or Terrence Williams. But if Oakland is trading away Amari Cooper, trading away Khalil Mack, they're rebuilding in a sense. John Gruden wants his guys. Why is he trading for Sean Lee? Especially because he knows that he could have Sean Lee on a cheap contract after this season, because the Cowboys are going to cut Sean Lee. So you're just not going to be able to unload that you think equal one really good player. All right, what other pages should I check? Do I need to check? Everybody hit the share button while I do this. Again, trying to navigate, the Dallas Cowboys Really Real fan page. Shout out to all you watching on the Dallas Cowboys Really Real fan page. And if you don't, make sure to go like the Dallas Cowboys Really Real fan page. Shout out to all you watching. I'm Amari Temkin, and this is Phantom, putting you at the center of the Dallas sports discussion. You can also hear me as part of the Dallas Cowboys pre- and post-game show. I always say part of. I am a co-host along with Jesse Holly on the Dallas Cowboys pre- and post-game show on 105.3 The Fan, and, of course, on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. So you might be familiar with me over there. I also do a lot of work for 105.3 The Fan, and I've got a big announcement coming up for another project that I'm going to be doing here pretty soon. And as soon as I can make that announcement, I will go ahead and make that announcement. All right. What else do we have? Sam Torres says, Will McClay has done really well with the draft. I wouldn't give up more than a fifth in a trade. Well said, Sam. Agreed with you 100%. Ian Goldberg says, guys, no one wants our leftovers old or broken. Thank you, Ian. That's true. Ty Shelton says, trade 5th-round pick for Thomas, cut Allen Hurns so we can get the compensatory 4th-round pick. Who are you getting a compensatory 4th-round pick for? For Allen Hurns? Where are you getting the compensatory 4th there, Ty? Lucia says, I just wait till the draft to get a wide receiver. We have like 7 now. Well, here's the thing on that. You know, wide receivers typically don't have big years their rookie seasons. This is something I've talked about a lot. I talked about it leading up to the year so as to sort of diminish some of the excitement for Michael Gallup. The last 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie was Amari Cooper, and it was 3 years ago. So there has not been a rookie wideout to get 1,000 yards since Amari Cooper did it. So it's a project. Gallup, people who say Gallup's a true or a good number 2, like he could be a number 1. I don't know that anything we've seen so far this season would indicate that he's not a number 1, but we'll see in year 2 if he is a true number 1 or number 2. The issue is the rest of this season. If this team thinks it can compete, then it certainly needs somebody that's a true number 1 wideout. That's why I really like DeMaryius Thomas. The reason that I've been talking about DeMaryius Thomas is because, like Sam Torres says, you could probably get away with trading a late round pick for him, like a 5th or a 6th. He still produces. He has 330 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns in 3 games. That would, or in the 6 games so far, with the garbage that the Broncos have at quarterback. He's played 16 games every year in the last 6 seasons. He had under 1,000 yards receiving for the first time in his career last year. It was 949. So think about the issues that the Broncos have had at quarterback since Peyton Manning left, and quite frankly, even in the final year of Peyton Manning's career, he wasn't very good offensively. They were like horrible in most offensive metrics. So he put up 1,000 yards in every one of those seasons except for last year when he only had 949. Still pretty good. Still pretty close to 1,000. He puts up at least 5 touchdowns the last 3 seasons. And he should be able to be available for pretty cheap because of 2 reasons. Well, because of 1 reason. The Broncos are going to cut him after this year. So the Broncos aren't competing. They're bad. So can they get something before they end up cutting him this offseason? And here's the reason they're going to cut him. If they keep him on their roster, he counts $17 million against the cap. It's a big number. But if they cut him, he'll only be $3 million in dead money. The Broncos are going to cut him. They drafted Cortland Sutton from SMU to replace DeMaryius Thomas. They're going to cut him. So the question is whether or not the Broncos want something for the rest of this season as compensation for him. Now, if they want, 2nd or a 3rd or a 4th, that's ridiculous. But you're talking about 5th, 6th. That's the window and the range that I would make a trade if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. And you bring him in knowing you're going to cut him after this year too. And maybe he fits and he likes being here and you're able to re-sign him on a cheaper deal. But there's no way you're making a trade for him and then having him count next year at 31 years old, $17 million against the cap. There's no way you're doing that. You would, though, I think, be willing to eat $3 million in dead money. And that seems fairly inexpensive considering, you're talking about potentially bringing in a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. Jael in the house. What up, Jael? How are you? David Alejandre says OBJ is the future of New York. Brian Hogan says Gallup will come around. He still plays slow and is trying to read the defense on the fly. He's just not all the way comfortable and trust what he's doing yet, but he flashes every week. Huge upside in his game. Agreed. Ian Goldberg says, shared. Love your show, Ari. Maybe see you on MCF again soon. That sounds good, buddy. Good to see you again. It's been a long time since I've seen you on my stream, so I appreciate you checking it out, brother. Hope you're well, and definitely let's try to figure something out soon. Michael Lafferty says, I'd take DT for a low-round pick and cut Hearns. Yeah, that is precisely what I would do. I would call up the Broncos. I'd say, how about a 5th? Well, first I'd say, how about a 6th for DeMaryius Thomas? If they counter with a 4th, I'd say, all right, let's do a 5th, and then I'd bring DeMaryius Thomas in, and I'd cut Allen Hearns. All right, let's see here. On the Dallas Cowboys America's team page, Tremel Bardwell says LMAO, TO, haha, Michael Gallup continues to try and prove himself. Beasley's awesome. Then we have Zeke out of the backfield. We need a deep threat badly. John Martin says, hey, how can I get the radio broadcast of the Cowboys games in Ohio when they aren't on TV? That's a good question. I don't know if you can. I'm not really sure. There's a whole rights thing about how you can get the digital rights for their games, but Michael James in the house. What's up, Michael James? Chris Bennett wants to know if the Spurs missed the playoffs. I don't think so. Cole Beasley's awesome. That's what Chris Heinsroth says. Agreed. Ezekiel Olmos says either one will work. What we have on receivers, Cooper or DT. Okay. Donna Nelson says, I think we should make a trade for Amari Cooper because Cole Beasley don't need to do it by himself. Well, here's the deal. Cole Beasley is really a complimentary wideout. He can't be a number one. Like, that's the issue. If he could be their number one, then he would. But he's more of a complimentary guy. And, again, I think the success that Beasley had last week was because the Jaguars didn't really make a concerted effort to stop him because they put Tyler Patman on him and then allowed Jalen Ramsey to stick on the outside on Allen Hurns. So, if Cole Beasley doesn't have as much success in these upcoming games, and everybody's like, well, why aren't they going back to Beasley? A lot of that's because of how defenses want to play the Cowboys, and they know they can really silence the Cowboys' offense in many ways if they stop Beasley. Beasley's such a dynamic weapon. That's, to me, why I think they need to make a trade for DeMaryius Thomas. As far as Amari Cooper is concerned, I just think there's too much of a cost involved. Here's a cut. I want to show you the cut from Stephen Jones. And it's going to show up here in a second. Soon as I can get it up. Haha, that's what she said. There we go. Boom. And it's going to be really big. And now I'll just make it a little bit smaller and bring it over here. All right, so if you can read that quote on the screen, it says, this is a quote from Stephen Jones, okay? So this kind of goes to why I think there's no chance the Cowboys are going to make a trade for Amari Cooper. I could be wrong, and if they did, I think that'd be a good move depending on what they had to give up. But I don't think it's going to happen, and this is why. Quote, most of these players, when we trade for them, they end up in the back end of a contract, and you're getting ready to have to pay them. When you're drafting a player in the first, second, or any round of the draft for that matter, you're getting a player that's a bargain when you consider what it would cost to buy that player in free agency. Amari Cooper is a perfect example of this. Amari Cooper playing out the final year. He's playing the rest of this year, and then next year the Raiders picked up his fifth-year option since he was a first-round draft pick, which is going to cost $14 million. The cost isn't really what matters here. What Stephen Jones says is what matters here. So if you trade for him now, you pay him the rest of this year's salary, plus you're on the hook for $14 million next year, and if you give up a first or a second to get him, then you're having to extend him on a big long-term contract, which is exactly what Stephen Jones doesn't want to do. I'll continue with the quote. I think that's the biggest deterrent of all, that everyone wants to trade a player for a draft pick. That's tough for teams to let go, and that's where you see the lack of trading. The cap itself is becoming less and less of a problem. I know we have a cap room. If we saw the right player, we'd certainly look to improve our team and could affect to do it under our cap at this point. So he kind of then says at the end, but what we've done a better job getting our cap in better shape, so we are in position to potentially bring on salary. But again, when you're talking about drafting a player versus trading a player at the back end of his contract, and then he's going to have to re-up, it just doesn't seem like that's something that the Cowboys would be willing to do as far as go out and then bring in a guy like Amari Cooper, who is, again, at the end of his rookie contract and would then get the $14 million next year, and then probably because you've paid a pretty high price to get him, extend him on a major contract. He says, that's tough for teams to let go, and that's where you see the lack of trading. The cap itself is becoming less and less of a problem. I know we have cap room. If we saw the right player, we'd certainly look to improve our team and could afford to do it under our cap at this point. Again, the last thing he says seems to contradict the first part, which is it's tough because those players, when you draft them, are such a bargain, so it'd be tough to then add salary, especially when you have to trade players that would be a bargain for players that would end up costing a ton of money. All right, so what do you all think? Again, Tremel Bardwell says, I prefer Thomas over Cooper. And look, Kevin Bledsoe says, when is the Cowboys way gonna benefit us? The window is 5 years. What's the Cowboys way? Is that to not trade or bring in anybody from outside? Is that the new Cowboys way? Perhaps. again, to me, DeMaryius Thomas makes a lot of sense. You're only going to have $3 million in dead money. If you cut him after this season, you could probably have him for a 5th or a 6th round pick. And he's a guy that's performed at a high level and put up big time production every single year, close to 1,000 yards, even with the bad quarterbacks they've had. He's been at or over 1,000 yards every single season in the last 6 years. In that same time frame, he's played at least 16 games. And last year, where he didn't have 1,000 yards, he had 949. And look at the crap they've had at quarterback in Denver. I mean, Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler and Case Keenum and who am I missing here? I'm missing more bad quarterbacks that I can't think of off the top of my head. And he's still putting up numbers. 949 yards last year. 1,083 the year before that with the crap they had at quarterback. So you line him up as a true X, and he's so multifaceted. He runs, he can run screens. He can get down the field. He's just such a multifaceted, good football player. DeMaryius Thomas is the guy the Cowboys should be going out to get. For me, again, Cooper is probably too cost prohibitive at this point. Cooper's the better player, and he's younger. Cooper is the better player than DeMaryius Thomas, and he's younger. I'm just looking at it from an economic standpoint and a what you'd have to give up standpoint. Thomas makes more sense from that regard. Paxton Lynch was the guy that I was forgetting about. Sean Shake in the house. What up, Sean? How are you? So, crazy situation for the Sports Fury last night, I'm assuming. I wonder if you guys were able to stream through it. So, 2 days ago, the Sports Fury couldn't stream through the Monday Night Football game because their internet was down. And then last night, they were probably streaming the NBA games, or they were streaming the NBA games, and then YouTube went down. What the hell? Joe Lucius says, are there any good tight ends in the trade block? I don't know. I know some people have mentioned Cameron Brate. I also think like Jeff Swaim's emerged a little bit here. I'm not ready to say he's an all-pro tight end, but Jeff Swaim has emerged more so than any potential number one wideout for the Cowboys. For me, to prioritize Cowboys' needs at this juncture, wide receiver is the top of that list. Like what and what's out there potentially available that they could trade for right now that could make a immediate impact. Wide receiver, and probably more specifically, that's DeMaryius Thomas. Yeah, Ian Goldberg says YouTube went down last night. Shake my head. That's what I'm saying. Like the Sports Fury, Sean Shake from the Sports Fury, a couple of nights ago, they couldn't do their stream for Monday Night Football because their internet was down. And the last night, they were doing their great NBA streams, and it went down in the middle, I'm assuming, because YouTube went down. Jay Navarro on the house. What's up, Jay Navarro? How are you? G. Garcia says Sports Fury needs to do more Phantom shows. Sports Fury is awesome. Whether they're on Phantom or doing their own thing, they're awesome. Love those guys. And by the way, and thank you, Ian Goldberg, for bringing up Rico. Rico's also emerged as a big way. So I think you're okay at tight end. Is it elite or is it all pro? No, but I like Jeff Swaim's. I think produced at a pretty high level, and he continues to emerge in a bigger and bigger way each week. And then you've got Rico out there. So yeah, I definitely think that's the case. Let's see here. Patrick Pressa says Golden Tate a free agent next year. It'd be interesting to see if the Cowboys go out there and spend any money in free agency, which is not something they've really done lately. So again, yes on DeMaryius Thomas, no on Amari Cooper based on price and what it would take to get them. I really like the potential for DeMaryius Thomas, but again, the Cowboys, I don't know that they're going to make a trade. I don't know that they're willing to make a trade. I'm just not sure. We'll see what happens. It's tough to expect any trade in the middle of the season, any team to make a trade in the middle of the season. That's just not the Cowboys. It's most teams. They don't want to make trades in the middle of the season. I think the Cowboys have a glaring need at number one to wideout, and it'd be nice for them to look at potentially upgrading and making a trade. But, they really haven't spent much money bringing outside free agents since Brandon Carr. Like, he's the last big name outside free agent they brought in. Now, they have money to spend next year. They'll definitely spend some of that on DeMarcus Lawrence. Trying to think of other potential of their own free agents they'd want to retain. And then we'll see if this offseason, since they finally fixed their cap problems, if they actually go out and spend some money, because they haven't really done it. And obviously, Look, I think the Cowboys, I say this a lot, I think the Cowboys' approach is the right approach. You have to build a championship team through the draft. You have to draft and develop players because of the cap, because of what Stephen Jones said, because they're cheap players that you have to find players that can outperform their value. And that's what rookie players or players on rookie deals are able to do way more easily than guys on free agent deals. But championship teams that actually win championships aren't exclusively built through the draft. They do spend money in free agency. So that's where the rubber meets the road when it comes to the final frontier of the Cowboys. And maybe that's what they've been working on. Maybe that's why they've been trying to fix their cap space. They haven't spent any money because they don't really view themselves as championship caliber right now. So they're waiting until next season when the Tony Romo dead money's gone, when the dead money's gone. They're finally free of all that dead money. The Witten dead money's gone. They're finally free of all that dead money, and now they've actually got some money to spend in free agency. All right, let me check back over on the YouTube page, see what's doing over there. DC4 Life JLB says Noah Fant next draft, perhaps. If you're watching on YouTube, shout out to you. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, make sure to go to the Phantom page. Go to facebook.com/Watch Phantom or search Watch Phantom, FANTOM, right here, and go subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like button on Facebook. Help us grow our audience as we put you at the center of the Dallas sports discussion. G Garcia says, gotta go, Ari. Good show today. DC4 Life. Appreciate you, G. Peace out, brother. Jason Wright says, a championship will have to be led by Zeke and our defense. You talking about this season? I'm assuming you're talking about this season, right? A championship this season would have to come from Zeke and the defense. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen. I don't know how else to say it. You're just not going to win a championship in today's NFL with like just Zeke Elliott on your offense, because you have to have an elite offense. There are some elite defenses that can win championships, but for the most part, it's elite offenses. Albert Carrizosa says, who do we re-sign and extend with the extra money coming? You got Lawrence, Byron Jones, Sean Lee, David Irving. Do we extend Jalen Smith now? No, they won't extend Jalen Smith. They will probably extend DeMaryius Lawrence and Byron Jones. They will cut Sean Lee, and they will cut David Irving, I would imagine. Or David Irving's a free agent. I don't think they're going to sign him. Wayne Bledsoe says, we have a good team. We just need to get it together, or everybody on the same page. Look what we've done 2 years ago. Right? It's a little bit different, though. In fact, it's a lot different, though. It's a completely different team. The 16 defense wasn't as good as the current defense, but the 16 offense was considerably better than the 18 offense. So TJ Fedor says we could lose Cole next year. He wants to be the highest paid slot guy. True. They could. Noah Fant is nice from Patrick Prescott on the Phantom page. Yes, this season, very far-fetched, though. That's from Jason Wright. We need Joe Thomas back also. Sure, I mean, the Cowboys will definitely spend money, I would imagine, on DeMaryius Lawrence and Byron Jones. Byron Jones is the other guy I forgot that they're going to have to extend if they want past this rookie contract. So he's the guy that's up, I think, off the top of my head. Right? And then potentially other, Joe Thomas potentially, or other guys. And then will they add in free agency? All right, should we move on here? Trade Irving for Thomas. I don't think that's a good deal for the Cowboys right now. I'd rather have Irving healthy than, you're going to lose probably David Irving in free agency after this season, and then potentially you can go out and sign Earl Thomas. But I'm not willing to trade depth at the pass rusher position now for a guy that is not going to play the rest of this year, and therefore I could sign him this offseason. Patrick Prescott says, how much is Jalen going to cost? I'm not sure. But he's got to continue to play at a high level, and there's no rush to pay him since he's still on his rookie contract. And thank you. Byron Jones is on his fifth. I was trying to do the math. He is on his 5th year, so. And same, trade Irving for Thomas, LOL. All right. So again, last time I'm going to make this point. I think Amari Cooper is a really great player, really nice player. I wouldn't trade a first or probably even a second for him. I would rather trade a 5th or a 6th for DeMaryius Thomas and then cut him after this season because it's only $3 million in dead money. Plus, he's a guy that produces at a high level and has every year. All right. Cowboys and Skins on Sunday. Today is a Wednesday, meaning it's our first time to really look at the Washington Redskins, who are 3-2. 3-2. First place in the division. Brian Walker says, have to go, Ari. Have a good day. See you, buddy. See you tomorrow. Everybody, if you have not yet already, hit the share button. Would really appreciate that. So if you could, please do. Thank you. Okay, so the first thing that stands out about the Redskins is how often Kirk Cousins turned the ball over versus how rarely Alex Smith turns the football over. So when you look at the last 54 games for Kirk Cousins, which includes this season, Kirk Cousins has turned the football over, whether it be through interceptions or fumbles, 55 times in his last 54 games. That's incredible. Alex Smith, in the same time period, has 28 turnovers. So Kirk Cousins, 55 turnovers in 51 games. Alex Smith, 28 turnovers in that same time period. Kirk Cousins, 18 lost fumbles in that time period. Alex Smith, just 6. So this is a football team the Cowboys are going up against in Washington that doesn't turn the ball over as much as they used to. Now, the Cowboys have won 5 of their last 6 against Washington, including 4 straight. They swept them the last 2 years. They beat them week 13 last year, 38-14, and then 33-19 week 7 of 2017. Then week 2 of 2016, they beat them 27-23, and then week 12 of 2016, 31-26, the Cowboys won. So you look at their last 4 games, the Cowboys are putting up big-time points against this Redskins defense. 33, 38, 27, 31. I mean, that's your lowest scoring output is 27, would be the highest scoring, second highest scoring game of the season for the Cowboys. So in those 4 games, the Cowboys are +2 in the turnover ratio, with Kirk Cousins having an INT and a fumble in that game. They're +4 in a game in which Kirk Cousins had 2 picks and a fumble. They were even with Kirk Cousins having an INT, and then even with no interceptions, with no turnovers. So that was the Week 12, 2016 game. The 2 games last year, let's just focus on those 2 since 2016 goes way back, and we just established that those are completely different teams. The reason the Cowboys have won 5 of 6 against the Redskins is because of Kirk Cousins, I would say. Well, it's because of 2 things. The Redskins' defense and Kirk Cousins turning the ball over too much. Cowboys won 33-19 against the Redskins in Week 7 of 2017. They were +2 in the turnover ratio. Kirk Cousins had the interception and a fumble. He actually had 2 fumbles but lost one of them. And again, Week 13 of 2017, Cowboys won 38-14. Cowboys were +4 in the turnover ratio. Kirk Cousins had 2 picks and a fumble. You look at those 2 straight wins. Turnovers were probably the biggest reason why the Cowboys won. They're +6 last season against the Redskins in the turnover ratio. Kirk Cousins turns the football over a ton. That's the reason the Cowboys have won at least the last 2 straight against the Redskins. They've won 4 straight and 5 of 6, but the last 2 they won, the sweep of last year, was because they were +6 against the Redskins in the turnover ratio. And that's where Alex Smith's not going to turn the ball over. He doesn't. Kirk Cousins turned the ball over way too much. 55 turnovers in his last 54 games. Alex Smith, 28 turnovers in that same time period. So Alex Smith rarely turns the football over. So turnovers, I hate to sound cliched because it's cliche to say it, but turnovers play such a huge role in the outcome of a game. But that's going to be especially true this week. If the Cowboys turn the ball over, they're going to be in trouble against Washington. Brandon Bartlett in the house. Omar Bagat in the house. What's going on? Michael Petty in the house. What's up, everybody? Hit the share button if you're just joining us. I'm Amari Temkin, part of the pre- and post-game show on 105.3 The Fan for the Dallas Cowboys. Also, I stream every single day right here on Phantom, putting you at the center of the Dallas sports discussion. So make sure to watch the show every day at 12 o'clock Central and hit the share button. TJ Fedor says 24-20 Cowboys over the Skins. Ben Yarbrough says go Cowboys, beat Washington like you're supposed to. Wayne Bledsoe predicts 27-24 Cowboys over Washington. Jason Turner says Smith's another game manager type quarterback. You say another, Smith is a game manager. You mean another like Kirk Cousins? Because Cousins wasn't really a game manager. Cousins takes risks, because, high interception numbers always, a lot of fumbles. He turns the ball over a lot, but he has big-time passing numbers. He had a game the Cowboys won Week 12 of 2016 where he was 41 of 53 passing for 449 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's not a game manager. All right, let's see here. Ian Goldberg says, got to get back to work, Ari. We'll be trying to catch you midday as much as possible. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. And I know Ian Goldberg says, did you see how confused the Skins pass D looked often there against Carolina? Yeah. Skins don't have a great pass D. They don't have a great D. Obviously, Josh Norman's the name that stands out. But their defense, especially early on in the season, has been much better than a lot of teams figured they would be. But they've invested the last few years in interior defensive linemen. With the Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. They've got some big bodies up front. So it's going to be difficult for the Cowboys to run the football against them. Cowboys are once again going to have to try to have success in the passing game. And most importantly, they can't turn the ball over because Alex Smith is not going to turn the football over. He's just not going to do it. Thumbs up if you think the Cowboys win. Heart emoji if you think the Cowboys will not win. We'll continue to look further and further at this game, more in depth at this game, break down film on this game, all that Thursday and Friday right here on Showtime. Coming up in the next few hours, probably by, we'll say 3 o'clock Central. By 3 o'clock Central, I'm going to have about a minute and a half video breaking down why the Mavericks are going to be an elite offensive basketball team this year. Come and watch the season opener for the Dallas Mavericks tonight at Parkway Tavern in Plano. If you live in the DFW area, just take the Dallas North Tollway, exit Windhaven, make a U-turn, and it's in that shopping complex there on the right. You can't miss it. If you're heading south to north, if you're heading north to south, exit Parker and exit Windhaven, and it's right there on your right. But it's Parkway Tavern. Click on the link in the description, and you're going to get a free appetizer when you dine in tonight with us. Tip off at 9:30 tonight. So again, make plans to be with us tonight. Mavs, Suns, Luka Doncic, his first game as a pro. I'm really excited. The Mavericks might have a very, very elite offense this season. And again, you're going to see some film, a little bit of film breakdowns in the next couple of hours as soon as I'm done producing the video that will show you how the Mavericks could have one of the best offenses in the NBA. So again, join us tonight. Parkway Tavern in Plano off the Dallas North Tollway between Windhaven and Parker Roads. And make sure to click the link in the description to get a free appetizer when you dine in with us. Come hang out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Charlie Williams says, go Mavs. All right, and so I'll just say real quickly on the Mavs. The two-man game between Dennis Smith and DeAndre Jordan and the two-man game between Luka Doncic and DeAndre Jordan is going to be very difficult to defend. Very difficult to defend. Especially, now obviously Dennis Smith's got to work on his jump shot, but they're just such dynamic offensive pieces that, if you sag off, they could hit the three. If you over pursue on the pick and roll, then they're just going to dump it to DeAndre for a layup or a dunk. So the two-man game between DeAndre Jordan and Luka, DeAndre Jordan and Doncic is going to be very, very dynamic. All right, let's see here. And final story today is, as we do every day, the inspirational story. Michael Lafferty says, great show, I appreciate you. So the inspirational story of the day today, oops, should be over there. There we go. Is about a keyboard warrior. Now, in the modern lingo, we use the term keyboard warrior seemingly for somebody in the internet world that's a troll, keyboard gangster. This is a little bit different, though. Irfan Hafiz is 37 years old. He is a Sri Lankan who has been bedridden for 19 years, okay? Irfan Hafiz, 37 years old, the last 19 years, he's been completely bedridden, living on a ventilator, which sounds like an absolutely horrible existence and probably not one you'd wish on your worst enemy. He only has strength in one finger with which he uses to type. And somehow, being bedridden for the last 19 years and only being able to type with one finger, he has learned to read and write in English and has now authored 3 books. Eric Lev in the house. What's up, Eric? What's up, Lev? So Irfan Hafiz, 37 years old Sri Lankan, who's been bedridden for 19 years, is living off of a ventilator, has one finger that has strength in it. Every other part of his body has no strength whatsoever. One finger. He has been able to learn to read and write in English while being bedridden for the last 19 years, and he has now published 3 books, typing with one finger. Could you imagine how long it takes to type that out? 3 books. Incredible, incredibly inspirational. Obviously, I think given a similar circumstance, a lot of people would probably cut off the ventilator, right? I mean, we've seen situations like this with family members where it's like, yeah, there's no reason for that person to live. And in this case, we've got Irfan Hafiz, 37 years old, who in the last 19 years of living bedridden off a ventilator has authored 3 books. It's incredible, and it's inspirational for obvious reasons. But yesterday the inspirational story was you can change the world like Paul Allen. And here's a good example of, you don't have to change the world like Paul Allen, because that seems daunting. But man, you can change the world like this individual who has every odd stacked against him and yet overcomes all those odds in order to to be successful, to do something that he wants to do, to make a life for himself, despite the fact that he's bedridden, can't get out of bed, and is living off of a ventilator. Is that a life well lived? No. But if you author 3 books while doing it, document your experiences, it turns a life that's not well lived into a life very well lived. You wouldn't think of a Sri Lankan person at 37 who's lived for the last 19 years in a bedridden, living off a ventilator. You wouldn't think of that being inspirational in any capacity. Or rather, you wouldn't think of it being, I shouldn't say inspirational. You wouldn't think of it being a life well lived in any capacity. But in this case, it's obvious why it is. So make the most out of your life. Omar Bagat says the human body and mind is incredible. No question. No question. The things that you can do when pushed up against a wall, so to speak, it's incredible. All right, so there's your inspirational story of the day. Irfan Hafiz. Go look him up. 37-year-old has authored 3 books while being bedridden for the last 19 years and only being able to type with one finger. I'm Amari Temkin. Thank you all for being a part of today's show. In each and every day's show, Joe Lucia, Ian Goldberg. Thank you guys, Neil Favre, Joe Tranchina, Sean Henry, Michael Lafferty, Dakota Stiegel, Eric Kashaney, Lori Morales, just to name a few. Thank you all for being a part of today's show and each and every day's show. I'm sure I forgot some names, but all of you Showtimers, the people that stream this show each and every day, you make it what it is. So if you are just checking the show out for the first time, I hope to see you again tomorrow. 12 o'clock Central Time. We'll look more and more in depth into the Redskins, what's working for them on offense, what's working for them on defense. Again, make plans to join us at Parkway Tavern in Plano. Watch Luca's first game as a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Make plans to join us at Parkway Tavern off the Dallas North Tollway tonight. And again, click on the link in the description to get a free appetizer tonight at Parkway Tavern in Plano. I'll be out there starting at about 9 o'clock. So come hang out with us. We'll be streaming starting at 9:30 when the game starts. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make plans to be out with us.